Here at Neyland Stadium in the morning, a Sunday morning, after another insane Tennessee football game. Checker Neyland, insanity. Lane Kiffin returns, and it's a 31-26 win for the Ole Miss Rebels. I'm Vince Ferrara alongside Jimmy Hyams, co-host of Sports Talk. You'll hear him in just a few hours on Sunday Sports Sound Off. So, Jimmy, I don't know how you summarize all the insanity that this game brought. What are some of your biggest takeaways overall, and then we'll follow up on that one.
Well, insanity is a pretty good word for it. This had the makings of one of the great college atmospheres that we've seen at Tennessee. There was a chance for Tennessee to pull out an upset over a ranked opponent. You had Checker Neyland, you had a light show, you had an incredible ball walk. You had so many great things that happened. Whether you win or lose a game, it is marred by what happened with the fans throwing bottles, throwing golf balls, a fight up in the stands. That's inexcusable. That behavior, in my opinion, deserves a fine from the SEC. Look, the SEC fines fans for running on the field in celebration. That's not nearly as dangerous as throwing stuff at people. And then when Lane Kiffin left the field, I saw two bottles fired at him at a hard pace. And then as he was leaving, he threw his visor up in the stands. It looked like somebody dumped some popcorn on him. That's just ridiculous. The fan behavior, to me, spoiled what could have been a very special night.
And obviously, there's a lot of controversial calls. Mm-hmm. We'll start with that scoop and score with Tyler Barron. What'd you make of that call? It sounded like Josh Heupel didn't really get a ton of explanation other than saying his forward progress was stopped, and that's not a reviewable play.
That's it. If you say forward progress, the thing is you better have a whistle. If you rule forward progress, somebody should have blown a whistle. And when they gathered together, maybe that's what was said. When I looked at it, I thought it was a pretty close call. I didn't realize what Matt Corral was doing. And a lot of times you'll have somebody trying to fake out a defense by holding the ball to the side or something. He kind of stopped. It's almost like he heard a whistle.
Right.
And so the next thing you know, Tennessee's tackling him, and they're forcing the fumble, running it in for a touchdown. They did rule forward progress. You could debate whether they should or shouldn't have. But, Vince, you're right. That is not a reviewable play, and I thought that was a very difficult and a tough break for Tennessee.
And then, obviously, the spotting on Jacob Warren's what looked like a potential first down, which would have been an incredible conversion, but it was ruled short. And then replay, I guess they didn't have the right look because it stood.
Was that 4th and 17 or something? It was a long one, and when I first saw it, I thought he had the first down. Then when I watched the replay, I could see when the knee hit, but I could never see where the ball was. And I kept seeing the right arm going across, but the ball was in the left arm. I don't know whether he got it or not. It was very close. The spot was off, but was it off by 1 foot, 2 feet? Was it off enough to give him a first down? That's hard to say. I never did really get a good view of when the knee hit and where the ball was in his hand. So based on that, I kind of understand them saying that it stood. But, boy, that was another tough call that went against Tennessee.
And then, Jimmy, as if there wasn't enough that went against Tennessee, Tennessee's driving. After all that insanity, after that 20-minute delay, the nice return by Velus Jones Jr. set things up, a couple nice runs and pass plays, and then Hendon Hooker gets hurt. And then Joe Milton has to come in for the final two plays. Overshot a throw to Cedric Tillman in the end zone that could have been the go-ahead winning touchdown. And then on the last play, just hard to understand why Milton couldn't put that in the end zone to give them a chance.
Well, he did make a throw to Walker Merrill to give him a first down, so that was a nice play. And then the pass to Tillman, I wouldn't stand him more than 20 yards from Tillman. Yeah. That thing was really close. If he'd maybe gained himself to get a little bit more of a lift on his jump, he might have scored on that one, caught it. But then the last play is inexcusable. I mean, you have to throw it in the end zone, and to run the ball and to go out of bounds when you know it's the last play, there's no way to explain that one. That would, if I'm a coach, it's going to be hard for me to play that guy. But you may have to next week, because if Hooker's out, then you're going to have to go to Milton. But that just shows you, to me, a lack of awareness of what you're doing. We did ask Cedric Tillman, what was your role at the end of the game? He said, well, just to get open. Just try to get open. I thought they might throw somewhat of a Hail Mary into the end zone, although it wasn't like a typical 50-yard Hail Mary. You're closer. But he said that his job was to try to get open. It's kind of hard when you got about 8 guys dropping back in coverage. But for Milton to run out of bounds, boy, that just made no sense.
Yeah, and once he passed the line of scrimmage and he was done, he couldn't do anything else.
Right.
But you have to wonder if the coaches reminded him, you got to put it up, and then he forgot or whatever. But it's just very, very difficult. And then obviously another big story, Jimmy, in this game is Matt Corral's running in this game. Tennessee just did not have an answer, and how he's able to move the chains so often, especially on third down.
I can't tell you how many 3rd and 7s or 3rd and 8s he converted. That was remarkable what he was able to do. And look, Tennessee said they knew that he was going to run the ball. They prepared for it. They tried to get ready for it. He is a very gifted runner. I mean, the guy, he gained about 222, and then he lost some, so the net was around 190 or so, whatever it was. But heck, he looked like John Reese Plumlee out there. That was a guy that they benched because he could run and couldn't pass. And then Matt Corral's out there running like that. That was a career high for him. But Tennessee did not do a good job stopping him. I thought going into the game that one of the keys would be conversions based on 3rd and 4th down for Ole Miss. They were 13 of 24 on 3rd and 4th down. That's way too high of a percentage. That's one reason they were able to keep the ball, keep the possession of it, and maintain some drives. But that was a key to me in the game, was Tennessee's inability to stop Ole Miss on 3rd and 4th down and to stop Matt Corral.
Last thing, we'll end a couple positives that we can take away this game. There's a number of things that you could look at and say, hey, that's a really good sign from this game.
Well, this may sound weird. So the defense played 101 snaps, and you gave up right at 500 yards.
Right.
5 yards a play? That's actually pretty darn good. And that defense, to me, late in the game, it did not look tired. And when they had to stop after that lengthy delay, when they had to make the stop, boom, they did it. I thought the defense – 500 yards sounds like a lot, doesn't it? But I thought the defense actually played pretty darn well given the circumstances. Although they didn't do a good job on 3rd and 4th down, I thought that was a positive. I thought Hooker made a few plays. I'll tell you a positive, and I didn't really give Tennessee much of a chance with that Tyan Evans, Jabari Small.
Yeah.
I thought Small had a good game, broke off some runs, had almost 100 yards in the game. I thought he had a nice it was a nice performance by him. And another positive to me was that every time that Ole Miss had a chance to give you that knockout blow, they couldn't do it. And Tennessee kept fighting. They stayed in it. They had a lot of adversity, some tough calls go against them. And yet, at the very end of that game, they still had a chance to pull it out. I give Tennessee a lot of credit for its fight.
Yeah, you hit on all the key ones. All right, this guy's going to get on Sunday Sports Sound Off. You don't want to miss it, 8 to 10 a.m., and we'll have that podcasted as well in case you missed it, always at 99.1 thesportsanimal.com. Tennessee will travel to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama, who looked like the old Alabama once again today and beating Mississippi State. So that'll wrap things up from Neyland Stadium. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin gets the 31-26 win over the Tennessee Volunteers. Then Monday morning we'll have complete breakdown all day long. In fact, all the way to 11 p.m. because I'll be on from 7 to 8 at night, a little bonus programming, and then 9 to 11 as well. So we'll have it all covered for you and get your reaction. For Jimmy Hyams, I'm Vince Ferrara. That'll do it from Neyland Stadium. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next week.